Huge field for the Lotus Cup Europe here at Nürburgring, with John Walker on pole position and Philippe Loop alongside him. Second row of the grid, all French, with Jean-Pierre Chenot-Prachet and Rémi Pourchevin, with the rapid Christophe Legendre lining up in 5th, with John Rass, the first of the exiges, there in 6th position. Standing start for this one as we get the green flag at the rear of the field, which means the red lights are about to come on. And then we will be going racing here at the legendary Nürburgring circuit. Away we go. Who's got the jump from the line? It's the orange car of Jonathan Walker, who starts on pole, has been left a little bit behind there by Philippe Loop, who has jumped to the lead, and also a very fast starting Rémi Pourchevin in the second of the red cars, also Christophe Legendre in the black and multicoloured car as well to the outside. So they fan out into the very tight hairpin that opens the lap here at the Nürburgring, and Walker outbreaks himself and runs very wide, and that is going to allow a good number of cars through and past him. So it's Philippe Loop who leads it, Rémi Pourchevin in second, Christophe Legendre in third, Jean-Pierre Chenot-Prachet was in fourth, but it's now Walker who goes back in fourth position. Carl Vivian and John Rass also making a good start. Everybody else relatively cleanly through, which is what we want to see as the midfield battles already begin to establish themselves as they go through the twists and turns that start the lap here at the Nürburgring before then heading down the hill. We ride in car with the race leader Philippe Loop. As you can just see the road plunging away as they accelerate down to the hairpin, which represents the midpoint of the lap. Everybody else behind getting involved in plenty of dices, as already Walker looking to try and make the move on Pourchevin. And the same goes for a good number of the runners. There is the beautiful Evora of Thierry Verheist running in the midfield, and also the somewhat unusual 340R of David Harvey as well. That's the blue car turning through the hairpin now as the production class battle, just the back of your shot as well, is already beginning to shape up quite nicely. As over the case in Lotus Cup Europe multi-class racing, there are battles to enjoy throughout the pack as the field then begin the climb up the hill once more, that will then bring them through after a fashion to complete the first lap of the race. So Philippe Loop, we sit atop his roll hoop as we move down the brakes, and we move into second place as well. Rémi Pourchevin taking lead away from Philippe Loop. So Pourchevin goes into the lead, Loop demoted in second, it's Christophe Legendre in third, Jonathan Walker in fourth, Carl Vivian in fifth, and then we have got Jean-Pierre Chenot-Prachet with then John and Gregory Rass, the next two up in the Exige and the Evora respectively, as Jonathan Walker already looking to pile the pressure onto Christophe Legendre. That is for third, as Pourchevin in the lead of the race. He's under no pressure as they come into the final chicane of the lap. This is of course where Michael Schumacher snatched victory in the 1995 European Grand Prix from John Lacey in the closing stages. Still seen of a good number of overtaking opportunities, as is this final corner. Walker looks to the inside of Legendre, who decides that attack is the best form of defence, and looks to the inside of Philippe Loop as well, but there's no way through there. So they exit the turn and accelerate down the start and finish straight once more, and on to complete the first lap of the race. And now this will be interesting, because the road then falls away sharply as they get onto the brakes for this opening hairpin of the lap. They fan out for 3 abreast for second place, and Legendre goes through in second place. So Philippe Loop demoted into third. Will we see Jonathan Walker appear in shot? No, we don't. So Loop maintains that position on the podium, although Walker is crawling all over his tail, trying to pick his way through, as Legendre attempting to drive away from Philippe Loop and get onto terms with Rémi Pourchevin. Pourchevin, who won both the races at Dijon, both the races at Magny-Cours earlier in the season as well. trying to take his success away from France. We go back to a production class battle. It's Markus Nakovic who's trying to make ground on the inside of Paul Patterson. He has a slight moment there. It's Jose Vanzlat in the yellow car, Nigel Ayres as well, looking on. The leaders, meanwhile, trying to stretch their legs at the front of the field and move away from the rest of the pack. So we've got the 5 to 11s, Headfield in 6th place. It's that man, John Rass, in the Exige, who's staying in touch at this stage of the race with the leaders ahead of him, as still Jonathan Walker, the winner of yesterday's race, looking to make ground on Philippe Loop. And it was Loop who finished 3rd yesterday. The man just ahead of him, Christophe Legendre, was the runner-up. As we go in car with John Rass climbing the hill as he watches these 211s fighting in front of him. Wonderful corner, this one. You can really plant the right foot and then power the car up the hill. You can hear there John Rass barely having a lift as he moves up through the gears. Then they go through another of the left-right combinations, and this, again, a very satisfying section of the circuit because the road falls away from the drivers. Then have a very fast section that will bring them through to the final chicane on the lap. There's Thierry Verhulst in the middle of a good tussle. That Evora is fantastically turned out, and Thierry having a good scrap with some of the 211s. As at the head of the field once more, Remy Pochvat continues to lead, but Christophe Legendre is definitely reeling him in, and in so doing he's bringing really the rest of this leading group all the way back to Gregory Rass along with him. Then we've got a slight gap back to Laurent Febvre and Olivier Servini. They're having a good scrap. It's Febvre in the green car, Servini in the orange machine. And then it's Herbert Metzger who is next man up in his Exige, as Philippe Loop loses out to Jonathan Walker. So Walker goes through into 3rd, but not for too long, I don't think, because Loop gets a far better exit, and so it's going to be a drag race down the start and finish line. And Jonathan Walker finally making that recovery up into 3rd position, having started from pole position and then making that error at the first corner. Thus far, this race has really been about damage limitation as he tries to pick his way up through the order. Well, it's 1 place regained, 2 to go, as Walker tries to close in on Christophe Legendre, who in turn is trying to do the same about Remy Pochvat, as Philippe Loop looks to reclaim his position on the podium, and Carl Vivian and John Rass also still very much in the mix as well. So it's Vivian in the 21 car, then John Rass next up in the orange Exige. Slight get back to Jean-Pierre Genou-Prachet, who is the next man in line. Sitting in car, John Rass is having a superb view of this excellent battle and is very much in contention still for the podium. So he flips it down a couple of gears as goes through some of the twists and turns here, the legendary Nürburgring circuit. This, of course, the new Nürburgring. It's not so new anymore, having been completed back in 1984, but still, in comparison to the venerable Nordschleife, it is seen as the new Nürburgring. The circuit, I think, has really grown in popularity with drivers over the years who've come to appreciate the mid-speed corners, which represent a great challenge for the drivers, particularly with all the undulations as well, of course, through the rolling German countryside. Back in car with Philippe Loop in 4th position. He's got a good run here, possibly on Jonathan Walker, who makes a slight error next to the corner, just flipping the car up a little bit further onto the curbs than he would have liked, but he's not going to be close enough to challenge into the left-hander here. This time it's the turn of Philippe Loop to get onto the curbs on the way into the sequence, and then Jonathan Walker on the exit with still Carl Vivian and John Rass enjoying their battle. And it's Rass who's possibly got a run this time on Vivian, as again they go through a very quick right-hander before the road begins to move uphill into the chicane. Such a steep climb into the chicane, you really can brake very late, as Jonathan Walker has done. It's brought him onto terms here with Christophe Legendre, so Jonathan Walker, it's not taking him too long at all, driving up through the field to get on terms with the man in 2nd place, Legendre. And still, John Rass just looks poised to make that move on Carl Vivian as they accelerate on to the start and finish straight. And this time Walker making the move on Legendre, nice and early, so Jonathan Walker moves in 2nd place. He's going to challenge Pochvat here, possibly for the lead. Remy Pochvat goes defensive, nice and early. Jonathan Walker taking the wide line, and Walker looks to squeeze him, Legendre to the inside. This is going to be very close indeed. Remy Pochvat makes sure Jonathan Walker can't find his way through there, so they remain as they were en route into the corner, but that could have gone any one of 3 ways, I think, for the lead of the race on the exit. And again, Jonathan Walker has a slight twitch on the brakes into the very tight left-hander. Then through the right-hander. Again, they're all challenging each other here, really. A great scrap this in the Lotus Cup Europe. And Carl Vivian in 5th, well positioned to spin though, Moritz and Apple. So Moritz and Apple is going to find himself moving down the order a little bit. Fortunately for him, he should recover okay from that spin as we go back to battle at lead the race. And Pochvat makes a slight error, and this could be the opening for Jonathan Walker as he looks to close in on Pochvat as they descend to the bottom of the circuit, and then this swooping hairpin, but Remy Pochvat using the contours of the circuit to full effect. The banked hairpin here, making overtaking quite challenging, particularly in such evenly matched cars as these Lotus 211s are. Then begin the long climb up the hill, and the drivers have just got their right feet absolutely planted here, maybe a slight lift, and move down the gear to just give the momentum up the hill. Well, Moritz Van Appel has recovered from his spin. He's now got Markus Nikovic right instead of Nikovic in the white and red machine, looking to put the pressure on Van Appel, and he's going to go through there on the way out of the hairpin. So slight wobble there from Van Appel, and Nikovic goes through. He gains position and moves up into 24th place. As we go back to the fight for the lead of the race, and still Jonathan Walker looking to find a way through on Remy Pochvat. He's looking to the inside into the chicane, and again Pochvat covering the line, forcing Walker to just clout the curbs, and Christophe Legendre still very much there, but then Walker goes to the switchback and he goes through, and he takes lead the race, and Christophe Legendre looks to follow him through, and Remy Pochvat having none of that, shutting the door very firmly in the face of Christophe Legendre. So it's now Jonathan Walker who leads the race, Remy Pochvat second, Legendre third, Philippe Loop in fourth, and Carl Vivian in fifth. That leading quintet have just dropped John Rass down in sixth position, with Gregory Rass then in seventh, as this time it's the turn of Pochvat to go defensive. Legendre looks to the outside, and Christophe Legendre is going to go through here, or is he, as we get a spin further back? Around goes Philippe Loop. Carl Vivian lucky not to collect in there, and Philippe Loop is going to lose several places here before he gets that car turned round and back into the fray. He does now, and he's lost about 4 positions. As a result of that moment, he comes back on track just behind Laurent Febvre there in the green and yellow car, traditional Lotus colours for the 211 of Laurent Febvre. So ready for Philippe Loop. The recovery drive up through the pack begins, as at the head of the field, Jonathan Walker is now going to set about trying to drive away from the battle for second place between Remy Pochvat and Christophe Legendre, and Carl Vivian, who's momentarily delayed by that spin Philippe Loop. He is still very much in the mix. It's the fight for second, which is probably the closest on circuit at the moment, as Remy Pochvat is having to defend quite vigorously here from Christophe Legendre. Again, Legendre looking to the inside of the hairpin. He can't find his way through, and Pochvat just keeping the car on the racing line through the hairpin. He's going to make Legendre do it the hard way and drive around him. So they climb the hill, continuing their excellent scrap for second position. As in the production class, this is a battle for production class honours between Dan Plant in the white car, Adam Busey next up in the sky blue machine. So first and second pretty much conjoined. Well, we're off for a break. We'll be back with more action from Lotus Cup Europe at the Nürburgring in a couple of moments' time.